Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football. I hope all of you are doing well today. So, you're getting a double upload today. Later on, we will be getting the Chelsea versus Liverpool match preview for the game that takes place tomorrow at the Bridge, where we welcome the champions and we got to give them a nice guard of honour. Hopefully that's in a trade for 3 points. Yeah, that could be a very nice deal that I will approve without question. But there is a watch along for that. Make sure you guys are here for that. Thank you to those that were here on the watch along yesterday as we watched Manchester City versus Wolves, where Wolves should have won but lost. And that didn't help matters at all because I was hoping City would drop points. But make sure you're here tomorrow. We're going to catch all the action live and uninterrupted. Chelsea-Liverpool watch along on here. Now, we've got a little bit of news at the end of this video in relation to the Championship because things are cooking over there. We've had the last day happen. But Aston Villa have played today and they beat Fulham 1-0, which means they are now level on points with Chelsea as well as Nottingham Forest. So it's made tomorrow a little bit more spicy. So make sure you're here for the preview later on. So to start the double upload day, which is going to be a regular occurrence now, but there's a bit of transfer news that I've not spoken about. This actually happened in the last 24, 48 hours. And I've kind of let it to marinate a little bit. And this is the perfect time where I've been able to slot it in. So we're going to talk about it. And it's about a 19-year-old. And is it in a position that we need? So I can see why maybe you're thinking, oh man, this is just not good, is it? Let me get to it. Here's the latest in relation to Jorrel Hato. Chelsea are monitoring Ajax star Jorrel Hato closely ahead of a potential summer move for the 19-year-old defender. That came from Sky Sports. But on top of that, we had this, and this is where there's the real meat and potatoes, as they say. Chelsea have spoken to Ajax about Jorrel Hato, but that has come from Mike Verwage, if I'm gonna say his name correctly, if I've butchered it, or Verway, if I've butchered it, I'm sorry. But he is basically tier 1 when it comes to Ajax. This guy is Ajax through and through. So anything that comes out of his mouth in relation to Ajax is basically true, right? Chelsea have spoken to Ajax about Hato. Hato, left back, 19. Like I said, you're probably expecting me to kick off. I'm actually not going to kick off. This, for me, is a player and a deal that actually makes sense. Yeah, I know. You're probably shocked. You're going, hang on, there's hell frozen over here. Younes is okay with a 19-year-old being bought by Blueco. What? Yeah. There's one. Finally. I'll explain why. That in the context of this deal, this position, this player, yeah, I would do it. I would do it. And why? I would do it on the one pretense, right? Or exception, or circumstance, or situation, however you want to call it. That Hato comes in to be the backup to Marco Correa. Or to be the competitor to Marco Correa. I don't want to say backup as in he's going to sit there doing nothing. We have to remember, if we're playing Champions League football next season, like I say, watch the preview later, because that's where I said, like yesterday, they pull you back in and I'm ready to get my heart broken again. You know, I'm ready. In 24 hours, we might be basically out of it again. Who knows? Well, we'll see. But if we were to make Champions League football, we need to upgrade the squad and we need to have proper depth. Proper. Not no silly little depth, you know, Conference League level depth, 18B team. No, madness, no. Legit players that are there, that can rotate, that can come in when needed, that can have a bit of versatility, a little bit of flexibility, but maintain the level. Not someone that's going to deplete the level just for the sake of rotation. No, that's what we had when we were going between the Premier League and the Conference League. Because the Conference League is a cakewalk. We've literally cakewalked to the semi-final, and we're cakewalking to the final. Yeah? This is easy. Champions League is a different gravy. And you can't take it that lightly. So you do need quality. But there has to be an element of structure here. I can't expect two players like Cucurella and someone else that should be playing in the first team battling it out together, because that's going to create friction. You need someone who's a little less, who is trying to get, who knows his role, is trying to get to the level and compete with the number one player. And that is the perfect situation here, I believe, with Hato and Marco Cucurella, who is the number one and deserves to be the number one and has been playing really well despite the circumstances. He's been consistent, along with Caicedo, I would say, this season, as being the ones that I can look at and go, you had a good season. So, bearing that in mind, I wouldn't mind having someone younger in that role. Someone developing, but someone who is quality, or enough quality. I'm not saying he has to be world class, but to a backup level, he's good. And I think he fits the bill. For that profile, he fits the bill. That's why I'm happy. This is what I mean when I say, I'm not here to exempt all young players. No, you need young players. You got to build, but you need players in there that have to set the example, that are levels, that are class, that have pedigree, that are there to rely on. Leaders, which we lack completely. We used to have all of that, and if you remember, at one time, we didn't really pay much attention to youth. And that was the criticism there. Yo, we need to implement some youth. That was when the whole, the time kicked off in the fan base, where more people wanted to see players come through Cobham because we didn't bring in enough. And then all of a sudden we had a transfer ban and flipping out, everyone came through. And that was a good thing. But now it's flipped into the other way, going too hardcore on youth just for the sake of it, and abandoning the actual leadership that the team needs, or the quality that the team needs. In this situation, I welcome it, because in that position, it makes sense. We don't have proper left backs. The only one here that is at a detriment is going to be Samuel Smith from the academy. But that's not a problem. For me, that's not a problem. He just signed a new long-term deal. He's 18. And he's not had too many first-team minutes. He's the sort of player that needs to go on a loan. You don't bring Samuel Smith to sit as a backup at Chelsea, just waiting for a chance to play, when you know Cucurella is basically going to be ahead of him in every single circumstance. Whereas with this, there will be chances for Hato. But Samuel Smith, it's wise for his development to go on a loan, maybe for 1 or 2 seasons, and then develop, play regularly, and then we can analyze and see if is he going to be someone that we can bring in. We can bring in, okay, cool. Like every other young player that's come through Cobham. When you look at the class of players that came through, everyone's been on loans. Hudson-Odoi was a little bit lucky, I would say, in his time. Sarri really trusted him, but him, Loftus-Cheek. But the class after, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, Reece James, Tomori, all of these guys had loans before coming back to Chelsea to play. That's normal. Samuel Smith is no exception here. He can do that, and he's got time on his hands. So that's okay. I don't think this blocks Samuel Smith. At least yet, but he's got to prove himself. Hato is 19, has already played, I think, what? Is it like 80 odd games for Ajax? Has come through their system, which is a very renowned system. Has already captained the club, which is a very good sign for someone of his age. Big up, fair play. Is now a Dutch international. I think he's got 6 or 7 caps. Does play really well. Is quite dynamic and is versatile. And this is another thing, though, that I have to add in, where I hope it doesn't go down this direction. I know he's versatile. He can play left back, but he can also play centre back. Do not bring him in as a centre back. He can be there if in an emergency situation. Okay, look, we need a centre back. Can you fill in? Okay, cool. If, I don't know, we end up with 6 injuries or something, who knows? But, God forbid. But he needs to come in as a left back, not someone to come in who's going to be playing regularly as a centre back. No. We need quality centre backs to come in properly. I wouldn't want him, for example, and then you go and get Dean Huijsen. No. Huijsen needs to be paired, now that Fofana is flipping finished. Now Huijsen needs to be paired with someone proper. And then I think, yeah, you know what? As an alternative option to them, perhaps, yeah. You know, if in a situation where we've got no one, you can rely on him, you can rely on him. He does play centre-back. He can play centre-back, but he's a left-back. Play him left-back. So that's where I hope it will go. So for me, I'm all for it. I think it's a very good, for once, I think it's a decent link. Despite his age, but I think he plays really well. He's quite dynamic. He likes to break the lines. He likes to bomb forward. He does have good passing ability. He's solid. He seems strong, and he seems like he's got good tackles in him. Obviously, he's not the best. But for that profile of player that I think can come in to play as a slight backup to Cucurella, I think he fits the bill. So I would welcome it. He doesn't cost too much either, I think, or maybe cost about 30 million or something. It's not the end of the world. I welcome it. So yeah, let me know what you think. Would you do this deal for Hato? Let me know down below. On top of that, we do have other priorities. So I wouldn't want to go into a window where we just, go for him first. Like, now, sort out the other things proper. Striker situation, goalkeeper situation, the centre-back situation. I mean, even if you want to talk about midfield, perhaps. We don't know the situation with Lavia. We don't know what's really going on. We don't know how it's all going to pan out, how it's all going to shape up. We don't know. All the outgoings are probably going to be leaving from the club in the summer. There's loads to look at. It's going to be a busy transfer window, I'm pretty sure. So we'll wait and see. But let me know your thoughts on that down in the comment section below. Now, like I already mentioned, Aston Villa won today, which means that they go level on points with Chelsea and Nottingham Forest. We're all tied on 60, but us and Forest still have to play our games. Yeah, that is right. Yeah, that is right. I thought Forest played recently, but they're level on games now. But in the Championship, where we've had the final day, we've got the playoffs that have been determined. So, here they are. These 4 teams in the Championship playoffs: Sheffield United, Sunderland, Coventry, and Bristol City. One of them will gain promotion to the Premier League. Well, it's looking really, really good for Frank Lampard and Coventry. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, did they win again? I think they did. Well, they bloody did. 2-0. And yeah, they've managed to claw themselves into the playoff position. They've got themselves 5th spot. They're coming up against teams that have all played Premier League football not too long ago. Sheffield United, without question. Sunderland, not too long ago. Bristol City, been a little while, but Coventry, we've not seen them in flipping ages. I remember Coventry back in the day. If you remember McAllister, who remembers McAllister? Yeah, if you know, you know. But Frank Lampard has done a tremendous job with them. He's literally clawed them from near to relegation all the way to the playoffs. And we know Frank can do this. He's done this in the Championship, especially with Derby, remember that. It's no different. Over there, he can smash it. I would hope that he gets promotion for them to the Premier League and he stays with them. I don't want him leaving to a Premier League team. Frank needs to stay. Don't go anywhere. I understand why he left Derby to come to Chelsea in a time where Roman asked him to. That's something he wouldn't refuse. And considering, started off really, really well with the transfer ban. So you could say that was a good move for him. But considering everything in hindsight, Frank needs to, if he does get promotion, and I hope he does, and I think they got a big chance of doing it, and hopefully he can right that wrong of losing that playoff final with Derby, with Derby back in the day, before Chelsea. I do hope that if he does get promotion to the Premier League with Coventry, he stays with them. Don't go anywhere. Stick with that team and see how far you can take them in the Premier League. And it might just repair everything for his career as a manager and all the doubt that there is about Frank Lampard, because correctly so there has been, but he has a chance to really repair and rectify with Coventry here by doing something pretty impressive. So fingers crossed he does do it, but that is your playoff for the Championship, and we'll see who ends up getting that final Premier League spot. So let me know your thoughts down below in relation to all of that. Later on, preview for Chelsea versus Liverpool. Make sure you're here for it, and I'll catch all of you then. Look after yourselves, people. Subscribe, notification bell on, and I'll see you later in a bit, people. Take care and peace.